Okay, we call the April 8th regular town board meeting called to order at 7:01. Crystal, could you read the roll, please?
Councilman Pavolny?
Here.
Councilman Jackarusa?
Here.
Councilman Mora?
Here.
Councilman Myers?
Here.
Supervisor Esposito?
Present. Also present is our attorney, Gerard Parisi. Okay, could we all stand for the invocation? Bob, could you do our honors again?
Lord, we count our privilege to come to you again. We pray, Lord, now as we start this board meeting, we do ask and pray that you will just have your way. Lord, that you help us as a board to do what's right for the town. Pray, Lord, that you will just help everything to go well and for your honor and glory. In thy name we pray. Amen.
Will you please remain standing for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, it is. Sorry, Nancy.
I'm sorry too, my aide insisted on leaving at quarter to seven, and then she missed the turn to come in here.
But Nancy, say it again.
But my aide insisted on leaving at quarter to seven, and then she missed the turn to come in here. So
What do you do, come by yourself?
no, my aide is.
Oh, she's out there?
She's going to get some gas.
Oh, okay.
But pretty soon she won't miss the turn. We just ordered our new sign and I'm hoping it'll be here by July, so that'll be nice. And you won't miss that, believe me. That's gonna be fully lighted.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I
Nancy.
probably won't need aid by then.
Bob already
Hopefully.
gave the invocation.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay, we're glad you're here.
Oh, thank
We
you.
are.
We're happy you're here.
Yeah.
Okay.
For this aggravation that we're gonna go through.
All right.
Okay.
Department committee reports, highway, we got.
Nah, it's all Ralph, nothing's going on at all.
Okay, water, Rick Rohr. March 2025, gallons pumped 2,094,200, maximum daily use 182,000, minimum daily use 28,200, daily average 67,600. We have the following water main breaks: 3/4/25 water main break on 1616 Darrell Road, Larned, repaired water main and replaced water service sample taken that day. 3/22/25 water break due to a bolt rotted off the valve box. Larned replaced bolt with stainless steel bolts that day. Issues: work done, door repaired, water samples done. Showed Schenectady, the water system, general maintenance performed. Rick Rohr, water commissioner. Any questions for Rick? Bob?
No?
Nick?
No.
Okay, Jim? Okay, there's a sample there if anybody wants to read it. And let's see. Tom Barini, he's not here tonight, did he give us a report?
You did, yeah.
Magnetic.
Where is it?
It's right behind the water one in your packet.
Yeah, it's the last page on the one with the water.
Okay. Building inspector's monthly report, total permits 8, permits issued 8, permit inspection fees collected $1,704, building inspection 7, zoning review 2, fire inspections 1, final building inspections 2, certificate of occupancy compliance 0, bank deposit report $1,704, check to supervisor 0, checkbook balance as of April 7, 2025, $3,706.19, work on planning and zoning as needed, working on permit, final inspection as needed, reviewing plans as needed, Thomas Marie, building inspector. Any questions? Jim?
No.
Bob? No. Nick? No? Okay. That's all. Okay, buildings and grounds, they're gonna repair the one heating system. They put this in, but apparently we have to have a makeup air in this room. So, we're gonna have to get the hot air replaced because the state code, it says you gotta have makeup air in a room like this, or in the other room. But price for that new coil, which has to be made up because they don't make them anymore for that particular model, is gonna be, they did replace the one over here on this end of the building a couple of years ago, because that one froze, but that one they got made up cheap. This one they can't get it made up. They wanted $9,500. I told them that was out of the question. So they're going to put it into the hot air return, or hot air, so it doesn't freeze, and they're gonna put the old coil back in, which regulates the air conditioning. So they're in the process of doing that, and they're getting the one made up, so we'll have it done before the summer.
Cooling season.
Yeah, before the cooling season, thank you. So that'll be done. Other than that, nothing else is going on. Any questions? Bob? Jeff? Nick?
No.
Okay. You got anything from the court?
Nope, nothing from the court, nothing from the assessor this month.
Okay. Oh,
Oh,
and I'm not gonna forget you either, Crystal.
That's where on top.
Go ahead, Ben.
I just had a call last, what was on the 1st of April from the sheriffs about 3 dogs that they wanted removed. It was for an eviction. I didn't take them because the lady who owns the dogs would be responsible for them, even though she's being evicted. She couldn't find any family or anybody that would take them. And I felt that if we were to take them, if she's not paying her rent, she's not gonna get her dogs. And that would have cost us about $1,200 for each dog per day for the period that we're supposed to hold them. So the sheriffs, I'll let them know that if there's any evictions, then the dogs, you know, that's their responsibility, that's their property, and they have to deal with it that way. They can't bump the dog off on us. I had that happen about a year ago with another guy who was notorious for calling for an ambulance to get out, and he tried bumping the dog off one day because of his aid, and same situation. So that was about it. It was April Fool's Day, so I guess that was, they thought that was going to take them.
That's it?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, any questions? Jim?
No.
Okay, Crystal, you're up.
Okay, we are in our last month of tax collection for the year. Taxpayers have until April 30th, so the end of this month, to make their payments to the town, and after that, any unpaid bills get turned over to the Schenectady County for further collection. We have a student from Shellmont with us here this month. She's putting in some volunteer hours for her student government course. So she's helping us work on an ongoing project that we've been doing to try to digitize our records for the town. So all of our local laws and resolutions, putting into a database, so that way if you're looking for a resolution, you're not sure the exact year that it was passed, you can just type in like firefighter exemption and it'll come up and show all the resolutions where that pertains. So I'm excited about that. We've been working on it for almost 4 years now, and the student's going to help us in the few weeks that she's with us. So I also have a report for PIAC. They wanted me to read it tonight. They couldn't be here. They are holding their annual Recycle Day on Saturday, April 26th from 8 to noon. Residents can recycle metal, water heaters, mowers, computers, and computer parts. They cannot accept items that have Freon, like air conditioners. Tires can be recycled for a cash fee per tire. And there will be a seedling giveaway for Princetown residents. This year they have Northern Catalapa, might not be saying that right, Purple Lilac and Serviceberry, Pumpkin, Sunflower, and Zinna seeds.
They're gonna take computers?
Yeah, the GE Elephants come every year and they refurbish. They don't take TVs, but they do take computers and computer parts.
What are we gonna put them?
What's that?
Where are we gonna put them?
He brings a truck. The GE
Okay.
Elephants, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did that last year.
Yeah, they've been there every year.
Yeah, last year, he come with a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Computers.
Got a couple we gotta get rid of.
At, in Gloversville, they
For TVs, yeah.
Yeah,
Every
they
year
take
we have
TVs
people
that
bring
are
them
brought
and ask.
over there.
Yeah.
probably should get a hold of them sometime, see if they wanna maybe collect DVDs over here.
I should really get a hold of them and apologize for not having the newsletter in the spring. Obviously, I haven't been well, I'm recovering, but unfortunately, that was kind of low on my agenda. But we should contact them and tell them that they can get this in the Gazette, they'll do that.
Yeah, they did that last year, I don't
Okay.
think they intend to do it again.
Okay,
And we
good,
got it
yeah.
on our website, so,
Okay, because the Gazette will publish it for free.
yeah.
Public service thing, and I do apologize, you know, about that. I was hoping that I was gonna be well enough to get that off, and that just didn't happen, so.
Okay. There is one other thing with the water over there, we're gonna start reading the meters this spring again. Yes, and the people that, anybody that didn't pay, it's gonna be on their tax bill in the fall. Am I correct in that?
Yep, it gets re-levied, yes.
So there's, I don't know how many,
For this year, I'm not sure.
I thought I said there was about 30, is that true? They didn't pay the water.
Yeah, and then that was, yeah, it's the taxes.
Okay. Public hearings, proposed local law regarding real property tax exemption for volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance workers. We'll open, I thought we did this last month, didn't we?
No, we
We
set
called
up
for the public hearing.
Yeah.
All right, we'll open up the public hearing at 7:13. Any takers?
Good with that.
And so we'll close the public hearing at 7:14. Meeting minutes. It hereby resolved the meeting minutes of March 11th, 2025, regular town board meeting are approved or as amended. Discussion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Crystal?
Councilman Pavolli?
Yes.
Councilman Jack Councilman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Myers?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Local law 2025 regarding volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance workers, real property tax exemption. Crystal,
Sure.
thank you.
Whereas the town board of the town of Princetown recognizes the role of volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers in securing the safety and well-being of the community and finds it to be in the best interest of the town residents to encourage volunteerism for such purposes, and whereas real property tax law, section 466A, authorizes the town board to adopt a local law providing partial real property tax exemption of up to 10% of the assessed value of real property owned by qualifying volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers and the unremarried spouses of enrolled firefighters and volunteer ambulance workers. Whereas a public hearing was scheduled, advertised for, and held on such local law on April 8th, 2025, as is required by law, at which hearing the public was invited to attend and be heard. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Princetown hereby enacts local law number 1 of 2025 entitled Local Law Regarding Volunteer Firefighter and Volunteer Ambulance Workers Real Property Tax Exemption, which local law shall take effect immediately, a full and complete copy of which is attached here too, and be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby directed to enter said local law into the minutes of this meeting and in the local law book of the town of Princetown, and to give due notice of the adoption of said local law to the Secretary of the State of New York.
Discussion?
I'll make the motion.
Hang on a second. Like I said over here, that since we don't have a town tax, it's only going to affect the,
It's a mood issue right now.
yes, it's only going to affect the election, because that's our only town tax.
But in the future, if there's a
Yeah,
town
in the
tax, it
future,
would
yes.
apply.
It'll be in place. Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make,
Is there a second?
Second.
Crystal?
Councilman Pavolli?
yes.
Councilman Jack
Yes.
Councilman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Myers?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Call for a public hearing, local law to amend zoning law to allow residential use in a commercial district. We had a discussion about this last meeting. Is this to call for the public hearing?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. You want to read this one, Crystal?
Sure.
Thank you.
And whereas the town board of the town of Princetown desires to allow residents of the town of Princetown to utilize real property in commercial districts for residential use, Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Princetown hereby calls for a public hearing to be held on the 14th day of May, 2025, at a regular meeting of the Town Board at the Town of Princetown Town Hall, 165 Princetown Plaza, Schenectady, New York, 12306, beginning at 7 p.m., for the purpose of hearing public comment on proposed local law to amend the Town of Princetown zoning code to allow residential use in commercial districts. Be it also resolved that the town clerk is hereby directed to publish the necessary notice, including but not limited to publishing a notice of the hearing in a newspaper of general circulation in the Town of Princetown at least 10 calendar days in advance of the hearing. The public notice shall also be posted on the town's website at least 5 days prior to the public hearing. Be it resolved that the proposed local law be referred to the Schenectady County Planning Agency in accordance with GML Section 239-N.
Any discussion?
I said right from the beginning, I believe that the law is too restrictive for property rights, so I think this is, to me, this is acceptable.
Okay. Everybody's got a copy of the local law, right, that we're proposing?
Yep.
Okay. Any further discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Crystal?
Councilman Pavoldi?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Myers?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. General funds claims. It is hereby resolved the town board approves claims number 56 through 73 of 2025 in the amount of $15,083.14. Discussion. Is there a motion?
I make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Crystal?
Councilman Pavoldi?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso? Yes. Councilman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Myers?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Water fund claims. It hereby resolved the town board approves claim number 27 through 39 of 2025 in the amount of $5,632.47. Discussion. Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Bristol?
Councilman Pavoldi?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Myers?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Highway funds claim. It's hereby resolved the town board approves claim number 425 of 2025 in the amount of $13,067.92. Discussion. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Councilman Pavoldi?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Myers?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Trust and agency fund claims, hereby resolved the town board approves claim number 1 of 2025 in the amount of $875. Discussion. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Crystal?
Councilman Pavoldi?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Myers?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Privilege of the floor. Privilege of the floor. At every scheduled town board meeting, the public shall have the right to address the town board during the course of the meeting referred to as privilege of the floor. Members of the public should restrict their comments of items of town business. Although there is no official time constraint, speakers should be considerate of others so that all members of the public have an opportunity to be heard. There shall be one portion of the meeting dedicated to privilege of the floor. All remarks and questions shall be addressed to the board. No person shall enter into discussion with a person having the floor. Council members may address any comments during the course of the meeting referred to as council members' comments. Privilege of the floor is opened up at 7:20. Any takers? Jack?
I know you guys have a draft that you did that's coming up for residential.
Speak into the thing, because I can't hear very.
I'm sorry. There's a draft that you have, and you all have a copy of the law that you're looking at, residential living in the commercial zone. And in it, I voiced some of these concerns at the planning board meeting, and I'll read them to you now, and maybe you can explain to me why you have some of these restrictions in that. I'm in favor of residential in the commercial zone. I think it's a great thing to do. It will keep a very rural character, especially if you have families living on a property that they have a business. And if you look at the businesses with those of us that do live on the property, you will see it's very well maintained. We love the town of Princetown, and we take very good care of the property. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read, you know, the things that I have issue with, and I would like all of you to take this into consideration before you go through with the one that is drafted right now. The first one is why is there a requirement that there has to be separate buildings, that the residents has to live in another building and not live in a building that they have a business in? I think that's ridiculous. There's so many businesses where families can live in the same building that they have a business. We have them already in the town. They've been here for a long time. The places look great, and there's never been an issue that I'm aware of with that, with them living in that same building. You can look across the street at Extreme Heating. You can just go a few yards down here to Zrillo Custom Design Kitchens. You can look at the veterinarian down the street, and I'm sure you can go other places. You can see it's very, very compatible to have businesses that you're living in the same building as your business. The second issue I have is why is there two curb cuts? Why do they have to have two driveways? Why can't they share a driveway? If you go up and down and you look at every business down through here, every single business where you have residents and businesses, they share the driveway. Why do you have to have two driveways? I think that's ridiculous. And then they have to pay, or they have to go to the state for a second, the state or county for permits for a second driveway. The third thing is, it says as up to water supplies. I can understand if you're on town water, you would need two water supplies, because you have commercial and residential. But if somebody has a very, very good well, why would they have to have two wells? Why would they have to drill another well? Why would they have to have another water supply? Why can't they come off the same well? And when you go a little bit further on 7, I was talking to some people in a business up there. They have a very good well. They could probably handle 10 houses off their well. So why is that there? That there's two different water supplies. If you can explain to me why you're putting these restrictions in, I'll understand, and I'll go forward with, you know.
Jack, where did you see that in this local law?
It's the one that was emailed to us.
Back to the first page. Where it says the residential building shall have separate water and sanitary.
Well, I can answer that question. We had a problem over here with people claiming that there was a residential building and they were living in it, and we charged them a commercial rate because that's where their business was.
No, I would explain that I can understand on the town water, you would have two water supplies. But it doesn't say, it says you have to have two water supplies. So that's, at least the way that's written, it looks like you need two wells if you don't have town water.
You're right. Legal. They could make them drill another well,
Yeah,
which is unnecessary.
right. If they have a well that can, the well I have up by the building, when they pumped that, we used to run our building and we ran the water across to Dad's, and they watered that nursery all day long. I have a well that you could run a hotel off of. I have town water also. But when you get a little bit further west of here, they don't have town water for businesses, and if they want to put a resident on there, it's, I can understand, again, with the town water, I can understand it, but why is that in there, that you would have to have two wells? So,
Yeah, we can take that out for next month.
You can take it out after the public hearing.
Honestly, everything is set on Paul right now.
You can-
I didn't read the thing like that.
But you're gonna have a public hearing, and then you're gonna make changes.
Oh, okay, we can make changes at the next, at the public
Can we
hearing.
do that at the public hearing
You just said.
or after?
Yeah.
There may be other comments.
You have to have it a second.
Change it.
Like with the solar law, we changed it before we got to the here.
Water and sanitary.
Major changes, you probably have another public
Maybe
hearing.
changes that.
Minor.
We couldn't vote the same night because we didn't have it.
Honestly, okay.
I mean, if you're gonna potentially make these changes,
It's on driveway.
Well, how many changes are we gonna make? Just this one?
Same.
Robert, you have a public hearing, there may be other comments.
You Jack, just
No
don't say
offense, but
it.
you're having a public hearing now, and we're getting ahead of ourselves, but, you know,
This doesn't say we need a separate curb cut, it just needs to say you need to have,
two driveways.
well, two driveways could be one off the other. That doesn't mean you need two curb
Well-
cuts. It doesn't say two curb cuts.
It says you need two separate driveways. How do you get a separate driveway off the road?
Separated on any commercial buildings in the same lot, so it'll be 100 feet. Well, okay, that's a separate building. You're talking about they're putting an apartment in the building they got to live. So uses.
So you have to change it so far to look at?
They're in the minutes.
Well, we'll have Doug Cole look at this and see if we can make these changes.
Separate
Okay.
water.
If I could just finish.
You make a good point about the.
Well, okay, well, all right, it does say the residential building, which means it's already separate. Shall have separate water and sanitary facilities from the commercial building. That already means it's another building. You're talking about somebody puts an apartment inside the commercial building.
Well, or you, like, again, when you go out west here, on 7,
There's
I was talking to people that are there,
Yeah.
they have one driveway, and they have one well, and they're considering, now that they know this is happening, putting a residence in, and
Run off the same water.
exactly.
And if they
So
run
either
out of
change the
water-
wording, so it's town, when it comes to town water, because of the
You need to
regulations.
specify that
Right.
if it's town water, you need two separate hookups.
You didn't have any other comments? Mike, you got any comments on this?
No, I kind of agree with Jack about the water, the well. It should be written in there, probably specify almost
That
that.
if you're in a town water district.
If it- if
that
you're
you need
gonna-
two hookups.
Correct. And if you're on a well, I agree that it
You're
should
on your own.
be, you're on your own, basically, yeah. If you want to put 2 wells in, you can put 2 wells if you
Right,
want to.
even if you're in a district, you can choose not to take the town water.
Correct.
Correct.
You only need one well.
Yes,
Right.
Yes.
both in that town in the same.
Yeah, if you want to put 5 wells in by yourself, it's
Yeah.
technically
Some
up to
people
you.
had to.
Right, you know what I mean, so.
Well, he's got one well up there, that's what we're talking about, the ones.
Well, it's just, this is just what I see can be potential problems.
Yes.
Things that we discussed at the planning board, when we were talking about looking at this draft, we were going, there's things in this draft that is gonna cause problems if we don't straighten it out. And then I saw the draft came through, and
I agree with that, you don't need 2 wells.
you know,
If you're on a well, you can do what you want. If you're in the water district, you need 2 hookups. I can relate to that.
yeah.
You want a separate curb box for each place.
Yes, because you got a residence and you got and a business.
And getting back to the driveway, if you just look right over here at Mohawk Heating, you have one driveway there, you have 4 businesses and a residence off that one driveway, never been an issue.
No, because you don't want that many driveways.
Right.
How many people you want pulling out all the way down?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. You got that, Crystal?
The other thing I have, I think we should think about, discuss, consider, is why is it that we're requiring 3 acres?
What is it?
Why is it that we're requiring 3 acres?
Do residential park?
3 for making it follow GR3. Zoning requirements.
When it's in
And
a
then-
commercial zone,
So why can't we have it follow G1? Why can't it be just 1 acre? You know, you got a small business, somebody has, you know, 1.5 acres or 2 acres or 2.5 acres. I was talking to Bobby DiCarlo next door, he doesn't have 3 acres right there. So why are we making, what's the point of the 3 acres in commercial property? Because we have some smaller lots, you know, on Seven,
Yeah, I know.
stuff like that.
why they did that is because of the septic.
The septic, yeah, that's.
But it depends on the ground, and the engineers can deal with that.
Correct. If they
Put a
can't do the
septic
septic,
system
then they
on one
can't
acre.
put the residence in.
Right.
But if they can put the septic, why are we not letting them put the residence in?
You should let the engineers fight that out.
So why isn't it like G1? Why is it, you know, why is it at 1 acre?
I suspect that was put in because I think the grandfathered ones are already subject to that, I think, if I remember.
I think we put it in there just because most of the C1, C2 districts, what's adjacent to it are mostly GR3s, I think, is what we looked at. So we basically said to kind of follow what the closest adjacent GR district was, because the only GR1 district is from Quackenbush to the creek on the golf course side, and that's basically the only GR1 district in the town. The most of the rest of it is all GR3s, or GR2s or better.
But if you're looking at protecting the residents that might be butted up against the commercial, we already have that in the zoning setbacks.
The setbacks.
Where you have, in commercial zoning, you have 20-foot setbacks, unless you're butting up against a residence, whether it's commercial or not.
Right.
You would need a 50-foot setback.
And
So why are we making it G3? Why don't we make it G1, so the smaller lots and these people who own property on the commercial areas that we have on 7 and 20 and 5S,
Because they want to.
you know, why are we making it so restrictive, so those people can't do that? So that's just something that I want everyone to mull over, and I want to bring up during a public hearing. And that goes into the same part about the GR3, or 3 acre lots, or the setbacks that are now into the draft. Because the setbacks for the commercial zoning, for commercial buildings is 20 feet. But in this new draft, it's saying if you put a residence in, you need to have 50 feet. So why are we having a 20-foot setback on a commercial building, but we have to have a 50-foot setback on a residential building? You know, I think that,
I thought it was the other way around, Jack. I thought it was
no,
50 on commercial and 20 on residential.
no,
No?
it's 20 on commercial,
Unless it butts up against,
unless it butts up against a residence.
then it's 50.
Then they're requiring 50. So we're writing this into the draft, but we already have wording in the zoning that would protect the residents with a 50-foot setback, whether you have commercial property or not. So you're putting that in, and then it goes on with the 3 acres and wording of gross lot area added to minimum, blah, 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 in your thing. Do we need all of that? Why don't we just make it a GR1, follow procedures, the 20-foot setbacks for commercial zoning, it's already 50-foot setbacks in the zoning if you're gonna be next to a residence. And so, in all of these things, we already have businesses with residents in town. So all of these things are already there, and we've never had an issue or a complaint from anyone in the town, they work. Residents living in a building that's commercial, it works. There's no reason to make them have, the new businesses have a separate building and then have it 100 foot away from the commercial building. Let the guy and his engineer and his architect who's designing the lot that they want present to you a good plan, something that would work for their business and their residents.
Suppose they want to build a house next to their building.
They can build it, and if they get 9 acres, they could build it in the back 9 acres. That's just, but what you're doing is you're not letting them put a residence in the building they have their business. So if say you're an attorney, or the vet, or
CPA.
a PA, or anyone who, they're gonna have somebody wants to run a little deli out of the front, like you go down a little, the Italian delis, you go to, and the whole family lives up there, and they,
The storefronts in front of the house.
why are we not doing that? I mean, that's like having a family, that's like when you walk in there, it's like you're going into the family, you're enjoying it. I mean, how much more rural can you get than that?
Are we gonna be opening up though for residential, wanting commercial business?
That doesn't make any difference, that has nothing to do with what we're
What we're
doing.
talking about, this is in the commercial zone.
We're just talking about zoning and commercial.
What's in the residential zone is residential, it has different rules.
No, I know, but then somebody that lives out in the country and they wanna do a business, what are you gonna tell them?
Well, that has been dealt with by every jurisdiction. We're so far behind in developing this that other jurisdictions have already dealt with that. You're not going to, in the zoning, doesn't happen in any other jurisdiction, where they're gonna let somebody put a garage in the middle of the neighborhood. That would be spot zoning, you can't do that.
Yeah, just to answer your one question, I think the GR3 was because 9.2 on the non-conforming uses already subjects them to GR3, so I think they were just trying to be consistent with that, but you can do whatever you want, but that's where it came from. I think that's where it came from.
Okay, like I say, if you can explain to me the reasons for putting these burdens on someone who is in a commercial zone and wants to, start a small business, it's usually young families, young people trying to get going. Well, if you can explain to me a logical reason why we're doing this, I have no problem with doing it. So, but I don't understand it, I don't see it. I go down here, I see everything that we're talking about works. So I just don't see why we, have those in the draft, that's all. And so I wanted to bring that up for discussion and some food for thought with everyone before the public hearing. So whoever comes next month at the public hearing, whatever they say, I just want everyone to process what I'll bring to your attention.
After the public hearing. You can change it all to public hearing, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to change it non-stop. I would just have a public hearing and make a resolution about little changes. The Cole's got to look at it, and just like snap changes together. Right. You gotta make changes like
We'll
that.
make changes now. Once we make changes now, and it doesn't change at the public hearing.
Right. Well, you may have 3 people that disagree with everything he just said. I mean, you gotta hear
Somebody
everybody.
said, just said we already.
Yeah, but it don't matter.
But
We already got letters that people don't, on the planning board don't want it. They don't want any,
Oh,
they don't want any changes. They don't want any changes in the law.
I completely understand that.
If you open up your email once in a while, you know.
Yeah, well, once a month I open up my email, okay, because I'm too busy working all day.
Well,
And again, like I said, with all of these, I've never seen an issue with any of these businesses. The only issue I've ever seen when someone wants to start a business or start something like that is
that's what I said.
some people are gonna come in and complain because that's just what they do. They want nothing started, nobody to do anything. It's those, anytime you propose anything, you're gonna have people having reasons, not justified necessarily, just reasons why you shouldn't do it.
Well, ultimately, it's.
Because nobody, listen to me, nobody wants change in this life. If they're comfortable, they want everything to stay the same, and screw whoever wants to advance.
But the town board believes in property rights for the most part. I mean, we're
Correct.
not, We're not looking to be as restrictive as possible. We're looking at property, that's how I look at it.
Right,
A
and that's,
person owns land, pays taxes. It's not up to me to tell him he can't do what he wants to do.
and that's why I'm
Within
bringing,
our rules.
that's why I'm bringing this to your attention now. And it's up to you guys as a town board, whether you think I have any basis or,
No, you made some good
Oh,
points.
no,
You made some good points, but ultimately, it's gonna be up to the town board anyway.
Yes.
They wanna, we wanna make the change.
correct, so I'm just here giving you guys food for thought.
Thank you.
Crystal's got the changes that you proposed, and we'll run it by.
Yeah, I can,
and,
If you want, you can just make
and see what he's got to say. Are we in favor? What change?
And thank you, everybody, for
I'm in
this.
favor of everything you just said. I'm in favor of what you just said, okay? I didn't read through the thing.
What about you, Bob?
What's that?
You want to?
I'm not in favor of restricting people from living. Sorry.
Well, that's what I say too,
Okay.
but you.
These other people, you know, everybody's got the way they live and what they're comfortable with, and other people need to live a different way. And as long as the two don't butt heads like this, leave each other alone.
What about you, Bob?
In regard
These
to,
changes?
well, I'd like to give some things some thought. I'm not crazy about cramming businesses and houses into 1 acre. I don't like that, but
It's an acre.
It's
It's not
already
ramming
zoned,
it, that's a
commercial's
whole
already 1 acre zoning
well, yeah.
for
but-
businesses. Because they figure that there's not a, it's
But
not like a
having these
house.
houses down through the commercial district, having the front end of their house, having a business and, you know, everything else.
Well, just do, Bob,
I like the country aspect of
Bob,
Princetown.
yeah, Bob, just look at, when you go down here and you look at the businesses that don't have houses, that don't have residents, and what would you prefer to look at?
Well, we haven't allowed that in the past.
But we've been able to do it because if you, and going up these routes, you have residential houses that are there. I bought one. So I was able to build my business in the back, redo the house in the front,
Because it was already residential.
Well,
because
that's
it's
fine.
already residential.
You've
And you
got
have
plenty
that
of-
all down 7. So you're going to have that anyway.
You've got plenty of land and that is mine, but to put it into a 1 acre lot, I
The
can't.
engineer, it depends on the ground conditions.
I think there's gonna be
If
too
the
many problems.
engineers, it depends on the ground conditions. The septic is the key. We don't
I
have
know
sewer.
that. I know that.
And the engineers aren't gonna allow a septic on a piece of land. It's not gonna get approved.
Well, I'm not worried
It's
about
gonna
all that.
automatically gonna get taken care of.
And again, how much rural and how much nicer can you get? than Going to
Okay.
somebody's business and their families.
I know it's privileges before, but
So-
go through Schenectady, drive up Eastern Avenue, how many storefronts were there in the old days? That they had a little store there, and they got eaten up, basically, but they were living in the back of it.
Mhm.
Through Schenectady, every block had a store like that.
But-
We got acres here.
Look at what they're building now when they go, wherever you go, whether it's Scotia or whether it's down the rivers, whatever. They're building the residence, they're building it, they're putting the buildings up, making it kind of back in the 50s. They got businesses on the first floor, they have residents upstairs, they got
Upstairs.
these beautiful buildings. I mean,
In the middle
I'm
of the
just
city.
asking you to be open-minded about it and think about it, because I know in the past we have always been reluctant, didn't want residents on commercial, wanted to keep the rural character, but in my opinion, rural character can't get any better than.
No, exactly.
We can do this forever over here.
No, I know.
So if nobody has any more questions, or I have nothing else to say, I'm gonna sit down.
Well, we need to have a public hearing before we make any changes, so.
Yeah, the public hearing's next month.
Well, we can change
No, we
it.
need to set up the law right now, and so when we have the public hearing, we can pass it. Otherwise, it's gonna go another meeting.
What do you think? That's you, Ben. Ben?
Yeah, I don't understand the need for separate buildings unless you actually need it. Like you said, there's a lot of places where the business is in the bottom. and they
So
live
that's
up.
up.
And they live upstairs or whatever.
Jim?
Yeah, for the most part, like I said, I made my opinion known. I believe in property rights when possible, within zoning and rules that we have.
All right, so the building is gonna be We don't care about that. We're gonna
Yeah,
make
you
a
could do
change.
one or
on
two.
it.
It doesn't need to be a
Okay,
separate.
that's
though.
one. All right, Crystal.
What was,
Forgive me if I'm wrong, though, we just called the public hearing on it as it is, so we can't make the changes until after the public hearing. So
We
you
can,
can't,
we can make the changes right now for the public hearing, he just said that.
Yeah, we can vote on it right now.
Yeah.
You're not gonna vote on it, you're gonna talk to Doug Cole, and Doug Cole's gonna have to draft up changes to look at, but you're still gonna have the public hearing next month, and then if you wanna make more changes, you can make more changes. If you wanna pass something.
So that's the first thing, we're gonna allow the house, you got
I
that?
got that.
But you're gonna
Okay.
have Doug
What's the
Cole work
second
on
one?
these changes in advance.
What's the second? one?
Curb cuts.
yeah, what's the rationale?
Curb cuts, one driveway's good enough.
One driveway's good enough, you agree?
Yeah,
Bob?
yeah. Two curb.
Bob?
Yeah.
Okay, one driveway's good enough, you got that, Crystal?
Got it, 2 separate water supplies.
Okay, what else was there?
2 separate water supplies.
supplies if you're on public water.
Right. We only need one, two on public water,
You want
one on,
public water, if you got a well,
well,
hook
that's
yourself
one.
up.
Yeah, because they're,
Is that,
Because if you run out of water, you gotta drill.
yeah, they're
the
priced
well.
differently.
Is
I
that-
mean, there's 2 different prices, so you have to,
is that okay with you, Tom?
Yeah.
Jim?
yeah, you have to, otherwise, because we charge different prices.
Bob? Okay, you got that one, Crystal?
It's on the list.
What other one is there?
3 acres.
How many acres?
3.
3.
So doing GR3 versus GR1, right?
Well, all they're doing is requiring, following the guidelines of GR3 if you're putting residents in a commercial zone.
Just throwing-
So in a commercial zone, you don't necessarily need 3 acres to have your business.
In GR1.
But if you want to put a residence in
We
there,
don't wanna
they're
change
requiring you to
the
follow
GR1.
it.
We just wanna, we wanna. just-
GR1 is GR1. In other words, if you could qualify, and like I said, the engineers will figure that out. If they can't put a septic system there, it ain't happening. And that's gonna go before planning.
Well, he had said that, or Gerard, I forget that, they did GR3 because that's what the commercial district is.
We're not gonna change the zoning, we're just gonna
Right,
change this.
but we've got to decide if it's a 1 acre or a 3 acre minimum. That's what we're talking about, right?
You want 1 acres?
No, I kind of agree with Bob, that 3 is, yeah, I just,
GR1 is 1 acre,
Right.
so,
GR1's 1 acre.
yeah, so we're not gonna change that.
We're not gonna change the zoning, we're just gonna change the acreage. So you want 1 acre or you want 3?
Depends where it is. Listen to me, if it's 1 acre, we can say 1 acre. If the engineers come in and the ground
Okay.
conditions don't accept the septic system, it ain't happening.
Okay, so it can be 1
Leave it
acre?
to 1.
Okay,
GR1's 1.
okay, it's 1 acre. You agree?
Commercial's 1 acre.
No, Bob, he doesn't agree. Jim?
I think that the 1 acre is gonna be tough with septics, setbacks, square footage for housing. I think it's gonna be very difficult to actually get that accomplished in most cases. I think the
Which means
engineers
it's not gonna
are
happen.
not gonna be, you know, an acre's 200 by 200. You gotta put 2 buildings up, or a building plus a business, and a septic and a well, and if you have a well, well has to be so far from the septic.
So what do you want
Yours
to
is
do?
doing an acre.
But you're thinking 2 buildings again.
Yeah.
You're not thinking one.
Yeah, but even one building, your
Would-
septic and your well have to be separated. I think,
But you have town water on
I think
it.
if you have town water, that's
You
different.
can't.
And so that's
All right,
that's
so-
why we had 3 acres back then, is we didn't have town water.
Right,
So that's
with
why
town
it's
water,
original.
it's still.
And so that's why now, I think you should
gotta-
get it
Right,
over
right.
You can't have
Just
1
1
acre.
You gotta have parking.
You gotta have parking, so you gotta have more than
You
1
gotta have
acre.
3 acres,
You
okay.
gotta have it. You gotta have parking if you're gonna have a business.
I mean, I could go along with all the things, the 1 acre I have a little concern about.
All right, so we'll
we're
go
gonna
with the
keep
3.
We're gonna
We'll
keep it at
keep
3.
it that way.
The last
3
one,
acres.
the last one is setbacks.
Setbacks.
20 foot for commercial and 50 foot for residential. Jack suggested 20 foot. for-
Why do you have, because your commercial zone, you got 20-foot setbacks on your commercial buildings.
Right.
But in this draft, that still is good, but if you put a residence up there, you need 50-foot setback.
From where though? All the sides?
Yeah,
No, that's ridiculous.
so if you're gonna have 20 feet for the buildings, why not have both of them at 20 feet? And if you're next to a residence, you're gonna have 50 feet.
got 3 acres.
You got plenty of room.
You got plenty of room. You You got 3 acres.
So why not have the zoning the same for the buildings?
Yeah, well, a 20-foot setback, where they could put it closer or whatever they gotta build.
So what do you wanna keep it at?
20.
20.
I'm good with
I don't have a problem.
You got a problem?
I have,
In a commercial district, no.
Yeah.
That's the intent, right? If you have-
Most of the time, it ain't gonna be, they're gonna be more than
You
that.
got that, Crystal?
I do.
I
Okay.
think the only thing that we're questioning is the 1 acre, everything else I think we're in agreement.
No, we're not questioning it, we're going with 3 acres.
Right, yeah, well, that's the one thing we're questioning.
Well,
No, we're gonna keep it
go
at
with it, that's
3.
okay.
Right, everything else that he suggested pretty much we're all set.
So, I got that, and we'll give it to Doug Cole to look it over, and you can pass it on to Gerard to put it into the public hearing then.
Yeah,
Good
and
enough,
then we're
Gerard?
good. So we got a prayer passing this the next
You've
month.
already called for public hearing.
So,
Public
Yes.
hearings happen.
okay, so that's what it'll be.
Unless you want to uncall it.
Anything else? Mike?
I just got one thing.
That's
If-
the issue.
I think you probably have to specify, if it's going to be one building, business and residential, and they're gonna take town water, what are you gonna classify it as, commercial or residential for your water
Same
bills?
building.
In the same building,
They have to
Well, you
have
have
separate,
the
Water.
plumbing tools,
No,
even if it's one building,
even if it's one
yes,
building.
because we
you have to
charge
have-
different.
Judge,
It's a different charge for commercial
Residential
than residential. We've already been through that with other businesses.
Okay.
Okay, listen to me.
I just was
If they
thinking
put
one
the-
building,
if they
one water.
live in a commercial building, then it gets a commercial rate,
Yes,
and they can use all the water they want.
yes. It's a
So
commercial
you're
rate.
saying we don't need to?
You know, if it's the same building, and they got the commercial water going in the commercial
So we're gonna
building.
charge them commercial rate, which is a higher
Commercial
rate.
Yes.
Hey, if
that's
you
what
don't
I
wanna
meant.
do that,
That's what I
If
meant.
they're
As long as we
using-
charge them the commercial rate, I
if
have
you
a
don't
problem.
wanna do that, build a separate building.
It's
If you
the
wanna
rate
live
that
where
was a
you're-
concern,
if
we've
you wanna
already been
live
through that,
where
we
you're
let it
working,
drop.
you're gonna pay the commercial rate.
Yes, that's what we're doing right now.
That's, yeah. Okay, single building, commercial rate.
Yeah, it's simple. So we got everything right, Crystal? Thank you. Any others? Nick?
Oh, I'm good now.
Jim? Ben? Bob?
I'm good.
Okay, we got all the changes, and
That
that'll
was
be,
privilege of the floor.
and that'll be incorporated into the
New draft.
new draft at the public hearing next month. And then we can get this wrapped up. Because it looks like probably the board is gonna be in favor of this, so.
I know,
I've been in favor of it all along.
the planning board, I got the email too, they're not happy with it, but
No, they're not the ones voting on it.
Well, there, again,
Not meaning you, Mike, I'm just saying.
there's members of the
I
planning
just
board
brought
that
it
were
up
in
to him.
favor of it. And there was people at the meeting that were. Planning board members in attendance that were in favor.
Well, a lot of people don't want change, just like Nick said. Nobody wants
Somebody
change.
wants change.
I think the town board is transparent in this issue, I think we all understand where we're coming from.
Some changes are good.
Okay,
Thank you,
very
Jack,
much.
for bringing us to our,
Yes,
bringing
thanks,
it
Jack.
to our attention. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anything else? Mike, you got any comments? You're the chair of the planning board.
No, like I said, we brought it to the planning
Do you
board.
agree with all of this?
Yeah, I'm always been a proponent of what you do on your property is up to you. I mean, you pay the taxes, the taxpayer. I've always been a proponent of saying, well, who am I to tell somebody what they can and can't do with the property they pay for? So I'm in favor of it, and I'd like, Jack's, as long as it was done right and, seems to be like the right thing, and, yeah, I'm for it. So.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Jack, for bringing it to our attention. Those will be the changes incorporated into the next, the public hearing. I'm sure we're gonna get some feedback on this.
You think?
Well, make it down,
Bulgaria isn't appropriate.
so, I know that there'll be some feedback on it. Like I
That's what
said,
the
it's
public hearing is
it's gonna be up to the town board if they wanna make the change, and that'll be it. Okay. Any others for the public hearing, or for the privilege of the floor? All right, we'll close up the privilege of the floor at, what is it, 7:55? All right, any comments from the town board? Don, you got anything? Nothing?
I think we already said it all right now.
You got anything?
Yeah, I do. As I mentioned earlier, our sign has been ordered. It's in production. It takes about 3 months for the total production time. It's going to be, as Donald Trump says, a big, beautiful sign, well-lighted, LED. We're going to be able to change the message if we want to every day. We're going to be able to have...
Can I do it by mental telepathy?
It's going to be, no, it has to be done by the clerk. Only the clerk will have the passwords to get in there to make changes.
Sorry.
I'd like to drive by and look at it and say, I want to say that.
You can go to the clerk and then it's possible we can get that. But the clerk will have basically will have the keys to the kingdom. She will receive training from the company, and it has a built-in Wi-Fi transmitter and receiver, so there's no fees to any of the cables, Spectrum, Verizon, nobody. This is all part of the process, so I think it's going to be a good thing. I'm thrilled that we're finally getting it. I think we've needed it for a long time, and kind of put us in the 21st century here. The only thing that I did ask them is not to make it green like Shellmont's. We don't want it to look like an extension or satellite of Shellmont's. Ours is going to be blue, the main color, so.
My favorite color.
Okay?
I don't like green.
The cost was
I like
in the
green.
high 40s, but there was,
You do, don't you?
I did a lot of research before we did this, and we could have saved as much as 10,000, but this is the only company that the state allows us to go with state contract because of the quality level that they've had over years. And a lot of people come to the same conclusion, like Shellmont, the fire departments, a lot of the schools, all came to the same conclusion, they're using the same company. And you know what, to save $8 or $9 grand and then have somebody from Florida have to come up here, fly a technician, just doesn't make sense. You know, a lot of research was done. I think this is, personally, is the best bet. Lou and I talked about it. And, you know, it's not the only one that I looked at. I looked at a number of them, but I think it's the best. And again, it's a state contract. So the state approves this company to do this.
We voted on this?
Yes. And we,
What, sign? Yeah, ages ago.
There wasn't ever an official resolution. You guys had multiple discussions, but when we moved to state contract, there was never a need for quotes.
Oh,
we
yeah.
didn't need
Never a
3
resolution.
bids. No, not a state contract.
Bids, you still got it. Vote to spend.
Well, we did it last year.
We didn't?
We were originally waiting for a quote, but then when we changed to state contract, we never obtained or needed one. So you guys all discussed it multiple times, everybody was in agreement,
Well,
but
yeah,
there
we're
was
all in
never a
agreement.
resolution.
We need to do it officially? Huh?
No, that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money, but we can put it on the
It was
agenda.
state contracted.
Yeah, but even when you have a state contract, you still have to approve the purchase.
That's
So
what
we're
we
done
did.
with everything else.
So we just talked about it, we never approved it.
Well, we can make it, we can do it, you know, it's kind of the horse is out of the barn, it's ordered, so.
Well, let's put it on record and do it right. We can do that right now.
We can do that. Yeah, we can.
I was reading this, what's the question?
What?
I was reading this, what's the question?
The sign, we never approved the sign.
I thought we did.
I thought we did, are you
You
sure?
never do getting the quote, like, working with this company to get a quote. We never approved, like,
There were multiple discussions where everybody's on board, that's very well documented, but there was never an official resolution for everybody to vote on it, because we never had an official number.
Can we make a resolution?
Company
Yeah,
name.
come on. I'll make a resolution that we approve the electronic sign.
Well, do you have invoice or something?
Not with me, but I can get it here, yes, I can get it from the company.
Really approve whatever that is.
I'll approve the purchase, you mean like what, say I when
Yeah, I might have it in my email, I know.
I mean, you're gonna have any details.
We can prove it up to a certain amount. We can prove it up to a certain amount if it
Yeah,
comes
we
in
never, we never did that either. That's what we normally do. When we give somebody permission to go out and get a quote, we say, okay, that's less than this, go
If
for
he
it.
doesn't have the quote, we can go over it and it comes in under. You just said we can do that.
I think you just need a resolution to approve the purchase of
So a sign.
an electronic sign, amount not to exceed X.
Not to exceed $50,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it won't, it's less than
No,
that.
it's not
I
gonna be
know it's less than that. Honestly, when we were gonna do it ages ago, it was 25,000 for the sign.
That
And
they're
nobody wanted to
expensive.
do it. That was 15 years ago? I don't know, 20.
So if we say 50,000, we can do that.
That covers it.
And we pass the resolution. It's not more than that. That's for sure.
Honestly, I think it's still gonna be 25,000. I don't think it's gone up there, I think they got cheaper.
No, well, you gotta remember, this includes, they're gonna have an installer come in, they have to put concrete, they have to put a base, all that's included.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't just a sign, this is all the installation that goes with it. They have an installer, a local installer that comes in, he's gotta do, I think he has to put a concrete base, he's gotta put uprights, it goes on an uprights 40 inches high, so all that installation is included. We do have to bring the wire there, which we'll do. But then I believe they hook it all up, the power.
So where are we getting the money for this? What
Out
fund
of
is
the
this
town
coming
budget.
in?
Budget.
Huh?
It was budgeted last year.
We got plenty of money in there.
It was budgeted last year. And it didn't happen because they couldn't get it here fast enough. So we carried over.
I'm just looking at my email.
You wanna vote on it?
Okay.
Or you want to say, 50?
And they don't do that much. But yeah, they'll cover it.
It's gonna be close to that, it's gonna be close to that when it's done. With the installation, it's, you know.
Okay.
So we're making a resolution?
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah.
So I'll make the resolution that we approve the sign and installation not to exceed $50,000.
We have like nothing in the budget that can account for that much money.
That's this year's budget.
Right, it's coming out of this year's budget.
Yeah, but it was in last year's budget.
We can approve that. We can amend the budget at any time.
That's a lot of money, a lot of money. I understand the need for the sign.
So you can vote no for the resolution if you want. It's-
It's not that I'm against the sign, but, I mean, we have a $400,000 budget.
Yeah, it's gonna be a chunk, yeah.
10%.
But it was approved for last year.
600,000.
There was enough money in the budget last year to cover it, okay, just.
We didn't know what the price was last year.
We got 700,000.
No, I know.
Now, I'm not
20
against the
years
sign.
ago.
It's just a lot of money for a
20
town.
years ago, we all said that, what you're just saying right now. And that's why the sign's not out there.
Yeah, well, it is, it's a lot of money.
You got the resolution, Crystal?
I do.
All right, could you read it?
Yes, it's for the electronic sign purchase. It's hereby resolved that the town board approves the purchase of an electronic sign at a price not to exceed $50,000 for the installation.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Crystal?
Councilman Goulding?
Yes.
Councilman Jack
No.
Councilman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Myers?
Abstain.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Resolution passes.
They wanted to sign 20 years ago, but nobody would go along with it. It was 25,000 back then, just to know. That's how much inflation has done to us.
Okay,
It's not gonna break our budget, just so you know. It's-
No, I
we
know
have to-
that.
so we got.
Yeah, we've
$700,000.
argued before over like $200 to go to PIAC. Now we're gonna spend $50,000. It's just a lot. It's a lot. So,
Yes, it
it
is.
is.
It is.
Exactly.
Go buy a backhoe, 150,000.
Go buy a new vehicle.
Yeah, I know.
Anything else? Ben, you got anything else?
No.
Jim?
No.
Bob? Nick? I don't think we need an executive session meeting tonight, so unless you've got something. Okay. Anybody got something? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Crystal?
Councilman Golding?
Yes.
Councilman Jack
Yes.
Councilman Moore?
Yes.
Councilman Myers?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Resolution passes. Thank you all for coming.
Your meeting is
And we
over.
get a discount tonight, don't we, Ben?
You get it every month?